Hello?
Yeah, listen. We fucked up.
Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our lead story this morning is regarding the Pentagon downplaying the fact that Americans are stranded in Afghanistan. And not just that, Joe Biden is on a victory tour right now, calling this whole thing an enormous success. I kid you not. Wait till you see all the video clips I have to show you today. This comes from our friends over at Blaze Media. It is written by the man, the myth, the legend. We haven't seen him in a while, Phil Shiver, and he titles it Pentagon Spokes Downplays Leaving Americans Stranded in Afghanistan. We have Americans that get stranded in countries all the time. Oh my God. What a PR nightmare. This dude had the tenacity to go out there and say something like this. Oh my God. It just continues to get worse. It continues to get worse. It says Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby continued to put his foot in his mouth. That's an understatement. Tuesday, while trying to convince the public that the Biden administration has things under control in Afghanistan. Oh man, really? Really, Kirby? Really, Biden, you have things under control as the Taliban runs roughshod over an entire country, going door to door with their biometrics, finding Afghans that help the Americans as well as other Americans, and executing people. Not to mention they just implemented Sharia law and they're finding single women to gang rape and also forced to marry them. But you're right, everything's under control. And Jen Psaki came out and said they have more diplomatic power than they did before. Oh my God. It's just unbelievable, the BS that's being spewed. And they ripped Trump 4 years. They ripped Trump for 4 years, and they're coming out with stuff like this and actually expect us to believe it. Unbelievable. They really think we're stupid. They really think the American people are stupid. Well, what happened? Well, while speaking with MSNBC's Willie Geist on Morning Joe, Kirby trotted out a strange talking point regarding the American citizens currently stranded in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan as evacuation efforts have ended. The belligerent spokesperson appeared to downplay the situation by essentially arguing that this sort of thing happens all the time. Oh yeah, people just go out of their own will to stay there, not a big deal. And, it's fine. They're having pina coladas. They're chilling on vacation out there in the heat while the freaking terrorists run roughshod over the entire place. But they're fine. Not a big deal. Quote, so what does that look like? How does diplomacy get those people out of the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan? Asked Geis. Well, here's what Kirby had to say.
So what does that look like? How does diplomacy get those people out of the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan?
It's not completely unlike the way we do it elsewhere around the world. I mean, we have Americans that get stranded in countries all the time.
Isn't that an astonishing statement to make as Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, probably watching? This guy does a quick shoulder shrug like, meh, yeah, they're stranded. It happens all the time. It's not a big deal. They're just under terrorist rule. They'll figure it out. Maybe make a quick phone call, huh? Call Jen Psaki. She said to hit him up in her DM. She'll get him out. I mean, the PR nightmare that this has created because this guy's a complete idiot, because his boss, Joe Biden's a complete idiot as well. And what's also quite astonishing about this whole thing? Just the other week, we did an episode regarding Jen Psaki going head-to-head with Peter Doocy on the fact of him calling her out that there's Americans stranded, and she got all pissy about it, saying, we can't say that people are stranded. People aren't stranded. Let's go ahead and see what that looked like.
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not.
The world. I mean, we have Americans that get stranded in countries all the time.
It's not just the hypocrisy that's frustrating. It's really the lack of empathy coming from the Biden administration. I mean, we just saw the other day Biden looking at his watch as dead Marines are being carried off an aircraft. And then now you have Kirby here going, yeah, they're stranded, but, it happens all the time. So not a big deal. And then now you have him saying this. Kirby on Tuesday added that he didn't even have an exact figure for the number of Americans left in Afghanistan. But he said estimates the figure is, no, probably in the hundreds. That's what he said. Meh. It's probably a low estimate of the hundreds, maybe thousands. I don't know. Who cares, right? My boss doesn't care Joe Biden, so why should I care? Who cares about the actual figures? This is the lack of empathy that this administration has. But remember, it was Trump that was the bad man. Trump's policies, remember, sucked according to Democrats. Trump was the racist, the biggest sexist, homophobe, all these things that Biden probably is himself. I'm not saying Biden's a racist, but he definitely is an idiot because the guy doesn't know how to do anything, which shows as far as the State Department, the Pentagon, because they don't have a clue either, and neither does this press secretary, Jen Psaki. Nobody has a clue on anything. And I think it was Jennifer or somebody in the comments said, it's so frustrating that we can never get a straight answer from anybody here. The most powerful military and country in the world, and you can't tell us roughly a solid figure of how many Americans are left. You're just going to say in the low hundreds. What does that mean? What do you consider the low hundreds? Because we're getting reports of boots on the ground that there's thousands. So completely contradictory, unbelievable stuff that's happening, and that's not the only thing that's unbelievable here. Joe Biden is doing a victory tour, calling this entire thing an enormous success, very similar to what Jen Psaki's doing. The guy has the balls to do this. Why? Because the media is not going to call him out on this other than Fox News, the Daily Wire, Blaze Media, or any conservative out there. This one comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. It is written by Ryan Saavedra, and he has this to say in the title: Biden claims he takes responsibility for Afghanistan while blaming Trump, Afghans, and trapped Americans. Yes, folks, in the same sentence of him saying, well, I take full responsibility for all this, the dude then goes on to blame everybody else. Does this not sound like Hillary Clinton when she lost the election against Donald Trump? She blamed everybody else but herself. I mean, it's astonishing. And then after he goes on to blame Trump, the Afghans, and trapped Americans, he doesn't blame anybody else, right? Then he has the balls to say this whole thing is an enormous success. It's truly, truly remarkable what is going on with this administration. Well, Ryan starts the article off saying Democrat President Joe Biden lashed out at his critics, former President Donald Trump, and even Americans stranded in Kabul during a widely criticized bizarre speech, which one isn't bizarre that he does, that he gave on Tuesday about his handling of Afghanistan. Biden turned his back on reporters and did not take any questions, even as hundreds of Americans remain trapped in a country now controlled by extremists, apparently breaking a commitment that he made during an interview with ABC News a couple weeks ago, in which he said that he would leave U.S. troops in the country until all Americans who wanted to leave had been evacuated, which we reported on yesterday. He was with George Stephanopoulos during that interview, and he completely lied and broke his promise, which is typical for a career politician to do, as well as a Democrat. And not only that, isn't it remarkable that this guy gets away with not answering reporters' questions? I mean, how many times was Trump ripped for just taking the time to answer their questions? And they also had the tenacity to say that he wasn't taking their questions or he wasn't answering their questions. And you have Joe Biden here turning his back on the press because he didn't have anything vetted, right? He probably didn't have enough time to prepare. He didn't have his note card set up. He was probably tired from fighting with his teleprompter and needed a quick sleepy and nappy time and make sure he got to hit the bed early because he can't figure out what the hell's going on in life. And he's probably all in chaotic and can't figure out what his name is and who the hell to call on because it wasn't prepared for him accordingly. Well, Biden claimed that the mission, which resulted in hundreds of Americans being left behind and 13 dead U.S. service members, was an extraordinary success. Here's Biden saying that.
No nation has ever done anything like it in all of history. Only the United States had the capacity and the will and ability to do it, and we did it today. The extraordinary success of this mission was due to the incredible skill, bravery, and selfless courage of the United States.
I mean, this guy is sitting there just saying that this is an enormous success. Oh my God. What do you say to that? What do you say to that? The dude goes on and says, Biden once again pinned blame for the debacle on the Afghan National Security Forces, which he falsely claimed had 300,000 members to fight the Taliban. The Washington Post called him out on that. It was not even 30,000 national security forces from the Afghans fighting the Taliban. Not even 30,000, but somehow it's above 300,000. I mean, this guy and just understanding numbers is truly remarkable. Oh my God. Don't get me wrong. As you guys know, I'm really frustrated with all this. But how do you not laugh at how this administration is just handling everything? There's two routes, right? Some days you get really pissed off, as you've seen, and the other days you just laugh about it because you can't wrap your head around this whole thing. Because who could have thought that things would happen the way they were this badly? We all knew they would be bad, folks. But you would like to think with the most powerful military in the world that our Pentagon and State Department would work together with the president to create a plan to evacuate everybody. And he didn't do it, which means our president is inept. His administration is inept. Our military generals are inept. I mean, the amount of failure you have to go through here is truly astonishing. And like we just said earlier on this episode and yesterday, how has nobody been fired? How is this guy still in office? I mean, what the F, right? And I read all your comments today, and God, I love our community, folks. Can I just take a moment here to acknowledge everybody that leaves a comment? Jennifer, James, the other Jennifer, Casey, Jonas. I'm missing a ton of people, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi or Obi Kenobi. I mean, there's so many people that write comments in the section, and forgive me if I miss you. There's a list of them. But folks, it is amazing to see that we're all sitting here thinking the same thing. And you get a sense of gratification from reading those comments, because I don't go out there and socialize with people a ton. And it's nice to know that we have a community built where we're all in the same bubble, at least in the sense of understanding that we have a president that should not be president, that he should not be there, that he's not able to carry out his duties. And we're all in the same frustration on what is going on in Afghanistan. And I just got a peace of mind today responding to all of you, and I was just really happy to see that we have a great community here at the Bald Brad Show. Even though we're not a massive show, right, like the Daily Wire or Steven Crowder, our community that we have built is freaking great, and I absolutely love it. So even if you don't write in the comments, I suggest, hey, just read it. It's nice to have that sense of understanding that there's other people out there that think the same way you do, and that you're not crazy. The only person that's crazy here is crazy Joe Biden. Well, Biden appeared to downplay the hundreds of Americans who were left behind by claiming that the administration had reached out 19 times to Americans in Afghanistan, while multiple warnings and offers to help them leave Afghanistan all the way back as far as March. Well, we sent them a telegram. They didn't get our travel postcard. It happens all the time. Snail mail just doesn't get to them. Might as well leave them behind. That's Biden's thinking, and it's truly remarkable, folks. I will keep you up to date on everything that's happening. I mean, this is just going beyond what we could have thought. And it makes you wonder, right? I can't even take a guess on what Biden is going to screw up next, or what the next PR nightmare is going to be. At this point, hell, the news is shooting from the hip, because nobody can guess the debacle that Biden is going to create for himself here in the future. And like we said, we have 3 years of this. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Who the hell knows? But with that being said, folks, make sure you leave a comment down below. I really do love reading them, and I'm sure all of you love reading each other's as well. And also, please make sure you share this on social media with your friends and family. Like and subscribe. And folks, I will see you tomorrow with maybe some more crazy news here on the Bald Brad Show.